Hey, it's State of the World with me, Sally Lockwood in Dubai. We're going to be talking Iran because the situation for millions of Iranian people tonight is absolutely unthinkable. And at the time of recording, it sounds like we could see American intervention imminently after thousands of protesters have been killed in recent days. And we're now potentially going to start seeing executions as well. One person who knows better than most the situation and the reality of what's going on and just how dire it is Dr. Kayvan Mirhadi, a well-known American Iranian physician based in New York. He's better known as Dr. K on Instagram, and he's been hearing from doctors in Iran about the horror of what's going on. Take a listen. Dr. K, thank you so much for joining me. I know you've got so much going on at the moment, not just with your work, but with everything that's going on in Iran. You're such a well-known activist and voice for the Iranian people. What's your take on the latest?
I think as a community, we're in shock of what happened Thursday and Friday, and a lot of us are just trying to see where we go from here. We had a lot of hope when people went to the street and they were protesting for their rights and needs for this regime to change and end its cruelty and brutality. But Thursday and Friday, the massacre that occurred is heartbreaking. So we're just putting pieces together right now.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. We're all having to do since that communication blackout on Thursday evening. Everything went dark for days and barely any information was getting out of Iran. And then it was partially lifted around 24 hours ago. People were able to make just normal phone calls again. The internet is still out. And there's a load of Iranians living here in the UAE where I am. And I've been speaking to many of them just sick with worry about their families and friends. And one woman who I've interviewed in the last 24 hours, she managed to get on a flight out of Tehran during the blackout on Sunday. And so she gave me so much information in terms of what has been happening since that blackout and now. And what she told me was absolutely horrifying. I'd like to compare notes with you. So she was talking about how people are being shot in the head. She said to me, her take was the prisons are full, so they're just killing us. What are you hearing?
I think this is just the surface of what's going on. Honestly, there's way more into what is happening, especially right now, that we don't know about. A lot of it has been already disseminated into the social media and the news outlets. But from my personal connections from the website to the people of Iran, because this page is not a political page, I have a lot of people from different parts of the country, different philosophies and religions. They're just giving me the same story that there was they slaughtered the people. They essentially opened fire on thousands upon thousands of individuals across the country. And this was a systematic decision to do so in terms of like it wasn't in the heat of the moment. This was clear directions on how to kill people. Um, the doctors are saying they were mainly seeing headshots and chest wounds. So if you're dealing as, let's say you work for the regime and you're part of the guards, you might use a pellet gun, you might use tear gas, a taser gun, and that's been what happened. Leading to the Thursday Friday protest. Those are the injuries they were sending me, and then it was just deceased on the scene, headshot, coming to the hospital. The morgues were full. The doctors were trying to save several of them with cardiopulmonary resuscitation, but and I don't know, we can get into that too, like all the restrictions they had that they could not save this person's life because they were shot on the scene in a protest, regardless of knowing who this person is and what their affiliation is. They could have just been walking out of their house. But this person who's a guard, you have to save it. Like they were bringing them in with helicopters and saying, okay, empty your ORs. You have to save this guy's life. Everybody else dies. This is the situation they were
Whoa. So they were kicking out really sick and injured protesters who were patients in order to save guards who were injured.
Yeah, I've been told that they had to selectively treat patients in their own hospital based on what the guards were telling them to do. And and it goes beyond that. I mean, you've seen the videos that they're attacking hospitals, they're breaking the windows and taking away their equipment. Like doctors told me that they couldn't open the OR to do surgery. To the ophthalmologist, to the vascular orthopedic surgeons, they were not allowed. Um, they were essentially being told not to do their ethical duties to save people's lives unless it's a specific person who has some affiliation with the government or is one of the guards. And it's still going. This is still ongoing. This is not just Thursday, Friday. It's still ongoing.
At the time of recording, Dr. K, it sounds like we could see US intervention imminently. Is this something that you think should happen, that the Iranians that you're in contact with want to happen?
This is what they want, the people in Iran. And I would say this time around, and I've said it before, in the prior protests, I was active and there was different opinions about external intervention and what people really want for the future. This time they're just like, please help us. We're stuck here. We did our part. We went to the street. We protested. How many thousand people died? At this point, they said, we cannot fight without, with just our hands, and we need somebody to help us. So they want somebody to come in. Now, I'm not like in a politician and well versed in this, but I would totally support anything from external outlets to come in and help these people, because I know that the killing is just getting worse. Today I spoke with a doctor that said they're coming and raiding all the doctors' offices because somebody said that they're working with the injured protesters. Like, these are doctors that are pro bono going and trying to help people that have bullets and broken skulls and they're dying in their house, and they're just trying their best to go help them, and they're arresting these people because as physicians we have to save lives, and the executions are going to start, and the death toll is just, no matter whatever estimate you see, is an underestimation.
Yeah, exactly, because at the moment it's being reported 2,500 dead. What are you hearing is more likely to be the figure or estimate?
We'll never know, but the other day, yesterday, the 12, 15,000, 20,000 estimates that you see on certain news outlets, I don't think this is overestimation from all the stories that I'm hearing. And these are not people that are like part of a group and just giving me information. These are like random people that I know through the last 6, 7 years that my page has been open. We've communicated about videos about my children and my role as a husband. And these are like, I really believe these are real people that I've built some sort of a communication, and they're all saying the same thing. Like, the events that occurred, the things they saw is horrific, and it's from all over parts of the country.
And what are you hearing from your medical colleagues in Iran?
So pretty much there's guards at every hospital. They've been given a clear direction not to accept any patient that was a protester. And I know personal family members that are in need of help are going to the hospital. They're getting rejected of admission. So I have to find creative ways to find doctors that can do this, meanwhile putting their lives at risk. Like, if I was inside the country, I'll be one of those doctors going around helping these people. But what if something happens to me? Like, I have 2 children, it's a huge risk for these people doing it. Some doctors have opened up rogue hospitals in somebody's cottage, and it looks like an OR, and they have a ventilator and X-ray machine, and they're doing this stuff, but few of them have been caught and shut down. They're essentially...
Wow. And they're risking their lives to do this, right?
Yeah, this is like very, very brave people. And I hope one day all these stories come out. I try to do my part of telling what I hear, but I really hope at what point we hear about these individuals that were doing these. They're really, as I said, like attacking the hospitals. They're stealing their medical equipment. Some doctors are telling me that you have to falsify autopsy reports, that, you should not say cause of death like shot to the chest or the head. You have to say something else. Families are going to pick up the body of their loved ones, and they have to pay for the bullet. Somebody killed your loved one, and you have to pay for the bullet that they used to kill your loved one to be able to get your family. This is all true stories. This is not even fabricated.
Why would they even do that? Why would they do that? Is that type of psychological torment?
This has been going on for years. At every level you can imagine, they have orchestrated some sort of psychological torment and how to prevent people to live their lives. This is why millions were in the street. They are, you know, if a physician, and again today somebody said if a physician is doing this free, because the economy is not great, and to pay you have to use your insurance, and they have to get all your data, so that all goes to the government, so nobody wants their name in that list. They have to pay out of pocket, and there are physicians that are doing this for free. They're getting arrested. Why are you treating these people for free? Pharmacies are not allowed to sell antibiotics or wound care like VAS, gauze, ABD pads. You have to register your name and your national identity number to go buy any type of uh, cream for a wound, because they want to go come find you. So this is not over like after Thursday, Friday. They're just getting started, and it's just going to get worse and worse.
As you say, they've killed thousands of people already in the last few days, and protesters are now dying. Even if they weren't killed in the protests, the ones that were injured are dying because they're not getting treatment, because they're not allowed to go to hospitals or they'll be found. And as you said before, we're now potentially going to see executions starting, with one scheduled for tomorrow, a 26-year-old young
Yeah.
guy. How bad is this going to get? I mean, in your view,
I mean,
is
the
this going to...
executions will happen.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing. International community. We do posts. We call our senators. We go on social media. We talk about these things, but they do it, and
Oh my
they are
God.
gonna ramp it up. Because they know the dire situation that they're also in. With U.S. with the threats that's coming from U.S. and as we talked earlier, the chance that there might be an attack. They're going to ramp it up and try to do this as fast as they can. And then there's also political prisoners. There over the 47 years, how many thousand people are in the prisons? These people have no rights. There's nobody that is aware of what is happening to them on a daily basis. And these are the same guards that are on the streets that just open fire on people. So who knows how many of them have been killed already, or what they're doing to them.
If America does intervene and we see military intervention or some sort of American intervention in Iran, do you think there is a way that they could protect the people living in this horror show?
Just depends like what their angle is and what they're planning to do. I mean, after that 12-day war, you could see this specific targets they had, and how there was casualty, but it's not something you would imagine after 12 days of war with Israel. So the technology is so advanced that, and what you hear from Trump and the government, that we know exactly where things are, we know exactly what to do, gives hope to people, because then they know,
Yeah.
okay, it's not going to be a full out war. This is just going to be targeted at those groups that the people also want out. So I would say all people in Iran are waiting for this after they lost somebody. And the other day I put a post that every Iranian by now knows somebody that died Thursday and Friday. And I personally know somebody that got shot in the head, a 37-year-old physiotherapist working um, with developmentally disabled kids. He's just walking on the street. He's, a family friend of ours. So
I'm
he was
sorry.
just killed. So, everybody knows somebody now. This is the level of the massacre. And,
I
and a
have to
lot of people are
say,
still yet to find out because there's no connection. So you don't know who you've
exactly.
lost.
And the Iranians that I'm speaking to here, there's at least 500,000 Iranians living in the UAE, and a lot of them have reached out to me, and every single one of them that I've spoken to knows someone who's been killed. So I can completely agree with you on that. I interviewed a guy yesterday whose really close friend had been killed 2 days before, shot in the head. And he did an interview with me, and then a couple of hours later, the phone lines had been partially lifted, and he heard from his sister, who freaked out and said, please, 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 please don't go public. We are in danger here. And so I pulled the interview and I didn't publish it because everyone here is so scared. Even people who aren't in Iran are terrified. I've not interviewed one person this week who's wanted to go public, because they're so worried about the regime terrorizing their relatives and killing them.
This is what we grew up with. I was born when the regime was active, not in the Shah or Pahlavi's time. So I just, this is in our DNA to be afraid of somebody tracking us down and killing us. And I personally have struggled with what I do now, with all the repercussions it might have. But sometimes I ground myself. I'm like, I live in America. It's a safe country. I live in a community that's supportive. People that I work with, they understand what's going on, and they're all protecting each other and helping me and my family. So when I compare myself to that 37-year-old who was just out protesting and got shot in the head, I said, we have to get this word out. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much for doing so. Just a couple more questions. So we are hearing, obviously, that there could be American intervention. A lot of Iranians, I would say every Iranian that I've spoken to here wants to see that happen, because they say it's not enough for the people to go on the streets. We need international help. We can't do this on our own. I guess the question is, if America does get involved and there isn't regime change, like last year when we saw America join Israel in that bombing in Iran of nuclear facilities, people then said, oh, could this result in regime change? And it didn't. If we see the same happen again this time, could things just get even worse for the Iranian people?
Definitely can. I mean, it's not a place you can continue living in, unfortunately. And a lot of people are escaping. We left the country in 97, when I was but now everyone's trying to run away. All the doctors are leaving, the nurses are leaving. Who's there to do anything? Yeah. All the people in tech, all the engineers, like, things are just going to get worse. And again, it just cannot be U.S. deciding to help the Iranian people. This has to be an international collaborative effort. This is not good for anybody. Not good for anybody.
What is your message to the world right now?
It's just recognizing that these are human lives. These are moms, kids, brothers, sisters that died, thousands of them within 48-hour period. I don't think there's a lot of things as bad as this in the history of mankind, of what happened to us. I really want to emphasize what kind of a massacre it was Thursday and Friday, and they need to respond. You cannot just say, let's sit down and have some diplomatic talks and try to fix it. There's nothing to fix right now. You have to go in and respond.
And in your mind, what does the response need to be here?
It has to be international intervention to come in and remove the regime. It has to be that. And whatever means that is. I personally don't know. I'm not planning this out myself. But I know people in Iran want this. People in Iran all want this. The ones that went on the street, they lost lives. They want this to happen. Regardless of the differing opinions of people outside of Iran, because they're not in danger and they have time to sit and debate about who they want the next 10 years running their country. But as of right now, we don't have that liberty and time of sitting and discussing on a round table who thinks who should be the next president. Right now, they're really going day by day and killing more, and we're not getting the numbers and who died. We'll get it later, but not right now. So we don't have that much time.
You don't have the luxury of chin stroking and philosophizing about this,
I've been in meetings and interviews with other people that have, I respect their views about when you think about the history of Iran, other people intervene, what are the things that happen? I understand, but we're not in that. If this was 6 months ago, I would say, okay, let's discuss what is the best opinion, who has the best opinion. But right now, these things are just getting worse every day. So we really need action. We don't need talk right now. We need somebody to do something.
Dr. Kay, thank you for doing what you do and speaking for so many of the Iranian people that can't. And thank you so much for this interview. Stay in touch and I'll speak to you soon.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. My thanks to Dr. Kay and to you for watching. Please hit subscribe. It's totally free and you'll see when more updates drop. We're going to be doing a lot more on Iran as this situation unfolds, and your support means everything. Thanks so much for watching. Hit like, leave a comment. Please share this with your friends, and I'll see you again really soon.